Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am the Lock Dude, and today we are talking about ITS Tactical's Lockpicking 101 kit that I purchased a few weeks ago. And as some of you may recall, I received in the mail 2 weeks ago. I have been using this set almost exclusively for the last 2 weeks so I could get a good idea of how it works and what I thought about it so I could give it a fair review. And now it's the time. First off, I want to talk, the picks are made using 301, what they call full hard stainless steel. When I got these in the mail, they had a little bit of a burr going along all the edges. It wasn't bad, the picks were definitely still usable, but going along all the different parts of the pick, it was just a little bit rough, just enough to kind of snag on a pin here or there. That was easy enough to take care of. All I had to do was take a 800 grit sandpaper to it for less than a minute, probably closer to 30 seconds, and that got it to the point where these pins or these picks were just smooth, and they worked fantastic after that. The set came with these two keys. One is keyed to the lock, the size that you need to be able to turn it, and the other key is made to push all the pins up to the very top so you can get a reverse look at what the key's profile is. Currently, I only have the first 3 pins in this lock, as it is repinnable, because I started making this lock into a full cutaway lock. It was a suggestion made by Marcin a couple of weeks ago that I decided to take him up on. And all I did was take out the pins and use these slots that were cut in by ITS Tactical to take a hacksaw, and being careful, I cut in the rest of the half the cylinder, so from here going into the keyway. Now it's important that you do not have the keys in while you are cutting. I did, however, leave a pin in on here while cutting to hold the cylinder stable, so I could get clean cuts with the hacksaw. Each one of these grooves took me about 5 minutes to cut, since I was being careful and trying not to damage the lock. Now what that did was turned it from being more like a normal lock feeling for learning how to pick locks to being a more educational tool by, being able to show you, the key and pin states all the way through. And gives you a better idea of how the lock works and what you're looking at when you're picking it. So, good quality lock. I really enjoyed picking this. I learned shortly after my mail call video that this particular lock needs to be picked counterclockwise. For some reason, it will not turn clockwise when picking it. I have gotten it to turn clockwise, so it is definitely capable of it. But this lock in particular likes to be tensioned counterclockwise. Good quality lock though, and great for turning into a full cutaway. The turning tool is a bent turning tool, which not great for learning, because when you use it, it flexes a lot, which helps prevent over-tensioning, but at the same time, it teaches you that it's okay to be heavy-handed all the time. And there are locks where you just need a feather-light touch. I mean, just barely touching the tension rod is enough to bind pins and get you where you're going. And if you press more, all the pins bind and you've got no real feedback as to what's going on. Now, there are other locks where you do have to put a lot of tension on it, and these pins will, tension tools will end up flexing and might not provide enough tension for those locks. What these turning tools are really good for is for raking. Since raking requires having very flexible and adjustable tension, having a tool that flexes more is actually beneficial to that. I don't have a whole lot of these twisted turning tools, but I do have one from Sparrows that I received in their tuxedo set to compare. And you'll see that ITS Tactical, their turning tool is just a little bit shorter, and also their twist is further down the turning tool. Now what that does is that makes this a lot more firm, which I feel kind of defeats the purpose of a twisted turning tool that allows you to get that extra flex in. But it could be that this is supposed to be a compromise to help you learn better tensioning skills. So that's my thoughts on the turning tool. The short hook is a really good profile. I've really been enjoying using this profile. I tend to enjoy the thinner tips more. And my usual short hook that I've been using with Covert Instruments has a fairly flat and wider tip there, as you can see. And maybe it's because I'm clumsy inside the lock, but I find the finer tips help me find the pins better and not hit the paths inside the Bible. If we were to compare this with Sparrows, which I think is my favorite profile for a short hook, you'll find that ITS Tactical is actually about a full centimeter longer with just the shaft and profile of the hook. But ITS Tactical does have smaller handles. About a centimeter smaller on this end and a little thinner. But ITS Tactical does send in these really nice PVC handles that slide off and on, so you can change them between picks that you're using. And that's turned this into my most comfortable pair, or my most comfortable set of picks. This does fit on the Sparrows picks, but it's very tight, and you might just get it stuck if you keep it on there for very long. So wouldn't really suggest it. And then if we compare it to my first pick set, which is the cheap Chinese set, you can see that the Chinese set has a really thick shaft to it, and then it drops down and you have a shallower and thicker hook, which works for some locks, but generally isn't too great. So, I mean, all in all, the short hook profile by ITS Tactical, it's a solid design. I enjoy it. I would suggest it for people. It's not bad for the price, and fixing that fit and finish issue is so little time. It's not much of an issue. Going on to the snake rake that they have, this is a very aggressive profile for a snake rake. I haven't really been able to get it to work with much because I don't have a lot of practice with rakes, and this tip keeps on snagging on pins, and I keep on getting stopped. And if you want to compare it to, say, the Snake Rake from Covert Instruments, you can see that there's a drastic difference in the size and how the ITS one is so drastic or aggressive in its pinning. And here is the cheap Chinese one that I got years ago. And that's another one that I couldn't really get to work much. I feel like the Chinese one would need a lot of sanding and some reshaping to be usable. But I have gotten this lock open with the rake, and it's pretty quick, especially with just the 3 pins. Like, you just pop it in. It worked earlier. There we go. And the lock opens. So that's the review on the ITS tactical set. I got all this on sale for $10. I think it might still be at that price on their website. And for $10, I would strongly suggest this. It's very well worth that amount of money. Anyway, thank you for watching the video, and have a nice day.